Yeah.
And how many years have you been married now?
61
years.
Yeah, 61. Yeah.
Right. And what do you, if someone were to ask you, what do you think would what would be some clues to the younger people of how you stay married for a long time? A good sense of humour, obviously.
Yeah.
Oh, God. You don't know.
Perseverance.
I was born.
You were born in Ireland. What year were you born?
In Cork.
Yeah, and what year?
1934.
1934.
I'm 82.
Wow.
And I'm pushing 83 too fast.
And how many kids in your family?
Well, there was 7 altogether, but the first baby died, you know.
Oh, a girl?
Yes.
Yeah, did she die during...
4.
Oh, she died at 4 years old?
Scarlet fever.
Oh, gee.
And it was Jack, Finn, Dan, Monica and me. And then Con came later.
Came later, he's an afterthought.
6 of us living.
In mine there was 8 of us.
8 of us, and where do you fall in the kids from?
I was the 3rd eldest.
Right.
Yeah.
So rattle through the siblings from oldest to youngest.
There was my eldest brother John. Then was my sister Alice. Then myself. Then I had a brother Mick. And then a sister Marie. Then a sister Anne. A sister Margaret. And the last one, a brother Tony.
How many kids did you have?
I've forgotten.
You've forgotten?
4 children.
4 kids. And did you have your first child very quickly as soon as you got married?
No, it
13
was...
months later.
Right. Right. And who was your first?
Charles.
Charlie.
Charles Anthony.
Yeah.
Jodie was 60. No, Jodie was 60. Chris was born in 63. And Kevin was born in 64.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was...
And how long were your parents married for?
They were married in 1932.
Right.
And my father died in 1971. And my mother died in 1973.
Right. Very close together.
Yeah, it was. She was 65 when she died.
Right.
And I think she died of a broken heart, to be honest.
Right.
Just
They had a good relationship.
Oh yeah, very.
Oh, that's
very good,
terrific.
yeah. We had a very happy household actually.
Right.
Yeah.
You were forced to leave school.
I was in England when I left school, so I was due to be in school till I was 15.
Right.
But we decided to move back to Ireland because my grandmother and my father's mother handed over her house to us.
Right.
And in Ireland you left at 40.
Right.
So I lost that last year.
Right.
But on top of that, I lost about 2 to 3 months when I was in England because my mother, I think, she had a miscarriage.
Right.
But I was never sure.
Right. They didn't tell you details back then, you just had to do stuff.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
So I was kept off school to look after the house and, you know, do all sorts of
Look
things
after
in
your
the
mum.
house. Yeah, because they couldn't afford to take my eldest brother or my sister out of work.
Right.
You know,
Because all the kids contributed to the income. Yeah.
Well,
family,
yes, yeah. Well, in those days you handed over your wages.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
you got pocket money back.
Right.
Yeah.
Or there was a fence standing by her kitchen window.
Right.
And she said, oh, we've got this fence to put up down the garden.
Between them and us.
Between them
Yeah.
and us.
Like a wooden fence.
Yeah.
To be about
Charlie says,
5 foot, 6 foot tall.
Yeah. And Charlie said, oh, that's all right, you know.
Yeah.
And we'd been there for 40 odd years and the fence never went up.
Oh, it didn't?
Never went up.
Right.
And then I used to just tidy down that piece of the garden.
I think what happened, he left it so long, about 30 odd years,
Yeah.
that when he went to move the fence to put it up, it all fell apart.
I mean, he
We
was,
got on great with him after that.
Right.
but she was surprised. She said, oh, don't you have trouble at school with your children? I said, well, nobody's complained to me.
Right.
And she said, well, usually when they're good at home, they're trouble at school.
Right.
And I said to Charlie, I think she thinks I tie them to the chair to do the homework. You know, the kids were, they were just ordinary. They used to go
Right.
over the road to play football and,
Yeah.
you know, and Jodie, they had their friends up and whatever.
Right.
But she couldn't sort of understand that. I said,
Right.
well, I haven't had any complaints from the school.
Right. Then you told me one time she told you your children are very clever.
Well,
She said that to her.
but
Or something.
Oh no, that was in Coventry.
Oh, down to Coventry, I mean.
Yeah, the council put us in
Yeah,
there.
the council put you all in some huts.
Ex-army huts.
Right.
Yeah.
And how, tell me about how he spruced up the place.
Oh yeah, well, painted it. Couldn't afford, there was 24 windows, 12 each side, a long wooden hut. Couldn't afford curtains for 24 windows. Painted the windows with white distemper. Painted
In a
the
curtain
curtains
shade.
in curtain shade. Yeah. And he done the whole place out with the whitewash. And then he heard that the council officials were coming round doing an inspection.
Right.
So he immediately got water and a paintbrush and splashed the water up by the ceiling, just to sort of give the impression that the rain was coming
Right,
in.
that the roof was bad.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And what was his intention for doing that?
To try and get a house out of it.
Right, to get yourself better accommodation through the
Better
council.
accommodation,
Yeah. And how many of you were living in that hut, the whole family?
Oh no, the whole family, but yeah,
Right.
all but one, the youngest brother.
Yeah.
He was born about 2 years later back in Linden.
Right.
Yeah. But so there was 7 children, my mother and father in there.
Right.
Yeah. And it worked as well. We did get a house, a lovely house actually.
Okay, so your mum went to the council house
yes,
and said, we're drinking water from the stream.
yes.
The kids, you're feeding, no running drinking water, you're
No,
getting water
no,
from the
nothing.
stream. Yeah.
So either that day or the next day, there were these police cars pulled up and came to check us out.
Right.
And they said, we're taking you to Baggington Hostel.
Baggington Hostel.
Baggington Hostel.
Right.
It was a hostel just on the outskirts. It wasn't far from where we were, but they took all the repatriated people from the war. There was a Burmese woman that had married an English soldier, and we were there. I don't know whether she's still alive, but I used to take her kids to school in the end.
Right.
We were in Baggington Hostel for about 3 years, and we thought it was heaven because we could have a proper bed, beautiful white sheets, and somewhere to hang your stuff. Mum got a job in the kitchen, so we were.
You were really happy and you went to school still?
Oh, yes, I
Yeah.
still
And
went to
Mona was at work?
Mona was at work then, and Dan was at work, and I used to take some of the kids from the hostel into school in St Osberg's, which was right through Coventry, sort of up in
Right.
the fields, and that was fine.
And where did you meet?
Uh,
Did you meet in Coventry?
Yes, in Coventry.
Right. So you both moved from Ireland and eventually landed in Coventry.
Well, I came to England to Coventry.
Right.
We stayed for 2 years,
Right.
and then we went back to Ireland and came back to Coventry again after 2 years.
Right.
That's my side of the thing.
Right.
Anne was different.
Yeah.
I came to Wolverhampton, Mum and Dan and Mona and Con. And we stayed there for about 18 months with Mum's relatives, Sarah McCafferty, Jack McCafferty, and then we came to Coventry, where my dad was.
Right.
And then we lived in sort of a tent. We lived in
Right.
a hut.
Camping holiday.
We lived in Baddington Hostel. Then we eventually got a council house
Right.
up in Tower Hill.
And that's where you met Charlie.
Yes.
Because he's
Well, he
with
was
the
a
fairs in that. Were they in that same sort of area?
Yes, they were just round
Right.
the corner. And he was a friend of Con's, my brother.
Right.
And we used to play football together, didn't we?
Oh, okay.
And then he came to paint my mother's kitchen.
All right. So Con set you up, did he?
Your
Did
mother's-
Con try and get you to go out with Charlie?
Yes.
Right.
I said, come on, go out with one of that.
Not one of the fairs. Right. Were they a bunch of scruffs, were
All
they?
the Irish fellas from over
Oh.
the church.
Right.
Then, I don't know.
Now you can tell them about Finn and Con trying to decorate the place themselves.
Well, yes, Finn and Con were papering the bedroom upstairs. Finn got so annoyed he pulled the paper off and wrapped it round Con. And then
Well, I went to see them. They were painting they were doing the ceiling. And I went down and yeah, they were doing the ceiling, but all the paint was coming down onto the liner. So they were painting the floor, it wasn't reaching the ceiling. They were using a spray gun off the old vacuum cleaner. And it just wasn't powerful enough.
Oh God. Off the old vacuum cleaner. Oh my God. There you go. Irish spray gun. How did you win her heart? I want to know.
I don't know.
You better answer that one.
Well,
Were you
started, a crowd of us, we used to go out together anyway. We'd go cycling or we'd go out
Right.
to Stratford, and we sort of got to know each other like that, really.
right? Right.
But
And is Charlie a good dancer?
not particularly.
But you said John was a good
John
dancer.
was
His brother was a
brother.
good dancer.
Yes, he was a nice
Right.
dancer.
Right.
But I didn't see that much of you at the beginning. He was in the cinema, worked in the cinema.
Right.
So
Right.
he was working in the evening, sort of.
Right. And did you have an engagement ring for Anne?
Yeah.
I did.
You bought her an engagement ring?
Yeah, it was costly as well.
£5.
£5? That would have been expensive then, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Was it a diamond?
Yes.
Yeah.
We don't know, we lost it.
Did you lose it?
Washing up one day,
Right.
which was unusual.
Right.
And I think it went down the sink.
Right.
Are we on camera?
Yeah,
Sometimes.
Oh, wait. That's it.
as did your wedding ring as well, didn't it?
Go down the sink.
What?
Went down the sink or somewhere.
So you saved up hard to get the engagement ring?
He had
Oh,
to go
yeah,
into the
yeah.
forces,
Right.
didn't you? You had to go into the force. My mum and Charlie's mum knew each other,
Right.
and Charlie was a friend of Con's, so he'd come in and be painting my mother's kitchen, and I'd be going off playing netball or what I used to play netball for
Right.
work. And he said, Con would say, would you go out with one of those fellas over the church? I said, one of them?
It's not the fairs.
I knew all the fairs. I didn't know Charlie.
Right.
I knew Nick and Marie and Anne and
Right.
Margaret and Tony. They were younger ones, you know.
Right.
I knew most of them. And my mum knew his mum through the church, I suppose, really.
Right.
And that was it. And then I started going out with him.
Right, you started going out with Charlie.
And he went into the force, was there.
Right.
So that was...
I think I was about 6 weeks in Cardington, but we weren't married then. I never got married till the April. So
Yeah.
from the April I went to Stoke Heath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you told me a story once about when you moved into Broad Lane, how the English woman next door thought you were Irish tinkers.
That was
Tell me that story.
That was the place.
That was
That's
the place
the one
at
that
694
at
Broad Lane. You
694
moved in there with all your 4 kids.
Yeah.
You know, you're still working at the factory
Yeah.
and still looking after all the kids at home.
And then she says came round. Oh, she came round the first day we were there, because when we moved in, there was no carpet in the hall, just tiles.
Tiles,
and
right.
there was no carpet in the back room.
In the kitchen.
Although there was glass doors between them, but there was like the kitchen, and the kitchen had just half a wall open. Then there was the dining room, but there were tiles in there as well. And she said, oh, are you having carpet put down there? And I don't know, just come with the 4 kids.
Right.
I said, oh, I don't know. She said, well, you're Irish, you've got 4 children. And I think she thought, oh God, we're like gypsies.
Right.
I said, where have we moved to?
She
Right.
was a school teacher then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But she was fine after. And
But she thought you were like ruffians, probably.
yeah.
Yes.
Didn't know, because that was still the attitude
Oh,
towards the Irish, was it?
That's
But
right.
then
Because,
she
you know,
said,
yeah.
when he comes along with the new car, she said, oh my God, you've got a new house and a new car, a brand new car. This
Right.
was important. You know. That was, what was that? I don't know what that was. And I didn't know what to say. And then she said,
No. And did he come home and give you all the money at the end of the week, and you dish him out pocket money, and you managed all the accounts?
I did all the money, but we didn't sort of say you can have so much. We just put it all in the pot, and if you
Right.
wanted some, if it was there,
Right.
you could have it.
Right.
If it wasn't, you couldn't.
Right.
The bills all were paid, and
Yeah.
the rent was paid, and everything.
And you've kept books on all of that, haven't you?
Yeah.
How long have you kept your books? What year did you start keeping your books?
19. When, Kevin? When we first bought the house.
Right. So you're the brains in the operation
Oh,
here.
not really.
Yeah. And you've still got all those books, haven't you?
Yes.
So you can pass those down to someone to see what the times were like. We can stick them in the Coventry Museum. But was it tough feeding the family then? Was it, you know, you were broke, you said that everybody didn't have much, and your side tables were orange boxes. Tell me how you used to decorate your orange boxes.
No, I know it was when I was having Jodie,
Right.
the midwife would come round, and then she'd sort of say, well, you could do with something for the baby's clothes, because Charlie was nearly 2 then, I think.
Right.
And so all I had was these 2 orange boxes. They were new, like. So I put all cotton wool inside and put all green taffeta lining.
Hand sewn.
Yes.
Yes.
And then I put like a curtain all the way around with
Right.
green taffeta or something.
Right.
And that was for the baby stuff.
Right.
That was stitched, and that was, well, it ended up with the football boots in.
Right.
But the dad taken the top out by then.
Right.
And things to put their football boots in.
In the end, yeah.
Yes. Supervised.
Lunchtime.
Lunchtime,
Yeah.
supervised the tables.
Right.
Yeah, there sometimes he came to school without any breakfast.
Right.
And I used to say to the girl in the kitchen, could you make him a bit of toast?
Right, yeah.
And when
And
I
would she?
Hmm?
She would?
She would,
Yeah.
yeah. And then when I was leaving there, he brought me into a little, I don't know whether I've still got that little cat's wooden statue. And he said, thank you for being a nice dinner lady.
Oh, that's so nice.
And he was only little.
Yeah.
They were all 11. They were supposed to be 11. You know, it was the bigger school.
Yeah.
But he was only a little dog. God love him, I think he had it.
Tough at home.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Really.
How old were you when you learnt to drive?
How old I was? About 30.
Oh, you waited till you're 30 till you got your licence?
I did, yeah, because I was pregnant with Kevin when I took my first driving
Right.
test, and I thought, I forgot to take the handbrake off, and I thought, well, he could swear at me or something.
Right.
I failed before I started out. But I took 4 tests in the end. But
You got it.
I passed the one out in
Right.
Charlford. I used to have to get on the bus with a big trolley and go down to Sainsbury's. And one time I had Charlie and Jodie. Jodie was left standing on the pavement.
While you're trying to get in the bus?
Yeah, the bus pulled off and
Yeah.
I put Charlie on and put the bag on, and she got up and she was still, so I was ringing the bell like that. But he didn't stop.
Right.
At hers.
And you once told me your Charlie was good because he'd always hold the kids while you were busy getting the dinner. Or
Oh
getting-
yeah, Kevin.
You left him in charge, so he'd give you some free hands.
Kevin was the worst. I'd be trying to cook the dinner and he'd be crying. And
Right.
That was if he was at work. Like,
Right.
you know.
If I wasn't at work.
What?
If I wasn't at
That's,
work.
I mean, if
Yeah.
I wasn't at work.
I came home one morning and I'd parked the car, gone into the flat, and the next thing was this almighty bang. And I looked out the window and there was building bricks coming down. Next thing I know, there's a knock at the door, rang the bell, and it was the people from upstairs. All their husbands had gone to work. And so I had them all down in the flat giving them
It's
tea.
hit by lightning, the flat.
Yeah.
Oh, the flat was hit by lightning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the chimneys was hit by lightning.
Right.
And when I went out and had a look, all the lead on the chimney stack sticking straight up in the air.
And May Edwards came. No women came.
Came running
They wouldn't go-
downstairs.
They wouldn't go back to their own flats until I checked them out.
Right.
And
Now,
May's
May
flat was all covered in
May was
stuff,
in
wasn't
the one above us, but to the side. And I went in there and her fire guard was thrown the full length of the room, straight back to the
Wow.
the other wall.
So it was lucky.
Yeah.
And there was a fine layer of soot
Oh,
A bit from the
all
chimney.
over the walls.
Yeah.
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 The other one in the top flat,
Oh,
I had to
yes.
go and check hers because her television and all was blown.
Yes,
Right.
it was,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
So she had to get the sort of electricians and all out to her place.
Right.
It blew the lot.
But you always knew there was always plenty of people
Around that you could get help if-
to-
yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Right.
That-
The culture that seemed to have built up then, it was just one big fight between the management and
And the
unions.
workers.
And
And the
worker-
union.
And the workers.
And but then you had the workers doing outrageous things like prostitution on the night shift.
Well, I wouldn't mention
Strippers.
that.
Doesn't no, this is not for them, this is for
I'm not
you.
going to say I wouldn't mention that. 'Cause
But I mean, you know, they're sleeping on the shift and drinking.
oh yes,
You
yes.
know, so you have to do all these things and you think that people come to work, but they don't. You have to follow
Yeah.
up and pull them up, and you said you'd seen it all in that factory.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, it was all written down as well.
Yeah,
The grandchildren really took to her actually.
right.
Yeah.
And you were saying one time about the only gift you got at Christmas time. from your uncle. Tell me about that.
Yeah. I got one present of a circular rail track and one little engine. Went round and round.
No carriages. Did it operate mechanically or by battery?
It was wind up.
Wind up. Yeah.
Yeah, wound it up. Yeah.
And that was the only gift you ever remember having?
That's the only present I ever remember having at Christmas when I was a kid.
Right.
Most of the other stuff you got anyway was clothes or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Something you needed.
Yeah.
And then clothes were passed down from one to the other?
Yes, so definitely, yeah.
There was no new clothes, you just got what your big brother had?
My eldest brother, I used to have to wait for him to change clothing before I could.
Right. And when you went out, as you were older, did you borrow each other's fancy clothes to go out?
No.
No?
Funnily enough, I never sort of went out that much in Ireland. I used to just go to band practice.
Right. Oh, what instrument did you play?
I used to play the flute.
Right.
B-flat flute.
Right.
And I played the drums. And I'd done that for the 2 years that we were back there.
Right. Did you enjoy music?
I enjoyed the band. You know, I went to practice every night of the week.
Right.
We used to practice drumming now. We practice on an old pool table, which had no cloth covering. It was just solid slate. And then we do the mama dada, mama dada, mama dada, mama dada.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't afford instruments.
Well, I'm trying to remember what I used to get. I think I got about £1.35 a week. But we used to go collecting round the pubs every Friday night, and everyone got a turn to go out, and always one of us that could play the flute would go and do a bit of music in the pub, and that way we got the funds to keep
You got
the
a bit
band
of money.
going.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
And we used to get a percentage of it then to keep. Yeah.
Right.
It's a good life.
And you were telling me? Yeah.
I had a bomber jacket.
You had a uniform for the band?
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
And how old were you?
I was 14 when I joined it, and 16 when I left.
Right.
And came back to England.
And that's the two of you would go around the pubs busking, one playing, one collecting money.
Yeah.
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 And there has enough money to have uniforms.
Well, the man that ran the band, he started it. It was like, I suppose you could call it a private band, really.
Right.
His name was Mikey Rawley.
Right.
I think he lost a leg in the First World War. But he was very good, you know. Yeah, he used to adapt all the music and all for the flute. So
Right.
He was good, he knew what he was doing.
And how old was your mum when she died?
Oh, she was 89.
Oh, she lived a long life. Yeah.
She just died in her sleep.
Right.
She had a flat. Oh, she wanted to go back to Ireland.
Right.
To get a house back in Ireland. She was sent to Kevin's hairdresser, I got a house in Ireland. And Kevin said, "Mum, I'm fed up with
saying a prayer."
Grandma's house." But it was very good. He'd say, he'd go over sometimes and get messages like for her. And he came back one time and he said, "Look, Mum, Grandma gave me £10 for going for fish and chips." I think she was going out.
Right.
I said, "Oh, don't worry, Kev." He gave it to me and I said, "I'll put it back in the purse," which I did.
Yeah.
But she probably never knew that at all.
Is that who Chris was seeing when he rode up and got the fruitcake? Was he seeing your mum? That time he rode up on the bicycle and she
Oh no, that was Chris.
Yeah, Chris. Yeah, I mean, was Chris seeing your mum?
Oh yeah.
Tell us that story.
No.
That's a funny story.
Charlie, when we were in Broad Lane, then when our kids were grown, our 2 kids were grown up, Charlie took on a nigground and the fella would bring a big pile of eggs to our house, and then they'd have to sell them around the people, the locals.
Right.
But they could add on, say, threepence or something like that, and that would be their wages. But what was it? Oh, what a Charlie. Then they all sort of took that job after.
Right, he passed the job down.
Yes.
To the, yeah.
And then Kevin got it at the end, but he put a bit more money on.
Right.
And he said, Chris Chris used to go up on his bike with the eggs to my mother, like
Right.
his grandma, and she'd made a cake or something one day, and
Right.
she gave it to him, and he was coming back.
It was in a tin, wasn't it?
No, I can't remember. I think
Yeah, I think it was in a
bag,
tin.
but
Was it?
he comes in and he said, Mum, Grandma gave me a cake, but it sort of fell on the grass or something. There was all grass mixed in.
He fell off the bike because the bike was too big for him. And he's pedalling madly. She gave him a cake. I think it was in a tin, he told me, and it rolled out, and he collected it all, put it back in, and then when he didn't tell you and gave it to you, you opened it up and it had all grass and cake squished together.
I know, God.
Yeah. And that was after going up to visit your grandma. I mean your mum, his grandma.
She didn't live that far away. They
Right.
used to take her. She'd have some eggs off them.
Right.
And Charlie's mum would have eggs off them. And
Right.
locals.
Right.
And there was an Irishman.
And that was great, eh? You never imagined in your young lives when you got all the kids
Yeah.
that one day not only would you own a home on Broad Lane, but you'd own a little flat in Spain.
And
so
really-
you did all right in the end. You know?
Really,
Really?
that was the sort of getting out early retirement, really,
Right.
because I got the lump sum off my pension,
Right.
really.
Yeah.
And compared to that,
Which has been terrific, really.
Yeah.
How old are you now, Charlie?
just 82.
And you're
Just 82.
similar.
84.
84.